Hello, welcome back. Now, the author JoJo Moyles has sold more than 38 million books worldwide. Her latest one is based on the true story of the pack horse librarians, women who rode into remote parts of 1930s America to deliver books and teach people to read.
Now, nearly a century later, the issue of adult literacy in this country remains very close to her heart. JoJo Moyles joins us now. Morning to you,
Good
JoJo.
morning.
I love reading about this book because you say you wrote it in a fever. What does that mean?
Well, I found out about the story and I couldn't believe that nobody had written about these women because it was such an extraordinary tale. And sometimes as a writer, you just get that feeling that this is mine. I know how I want to write it. I have to do it. And then when I went out to Kentucky, I fell in love with the place and the whole thing just kind of came out of me. And I did. I wrote it in a fever. I wrote it from sort of 5 a.m. in the morning through holidays. I was completely antisocial. I loved it.
Tell us the story, because there are these amazing women who go out and do an essentially extremely dangerous job, actually.
These women were employed by Roosevelt as part of his WPA programme after the Depression to try and combat what he saw as the rise of snake oil salesmen, religious fundamentalism and ignorance, people not believing in facts. And so I thought, oh, could have some resonance for today. And these women would ride up to 120 miles a week over really rough terrain to take books to families who couldn't read or only ever read the Bible and try and bring them education and entertainment.
And we're seeing pictures of the actual women who did this.
Yeah, and I saw those pictures and I fell in love because, you know, you sort of associate that period with women not doing very much except kind of keeping house. And these women were badass. They went out and did stuff.
Yeah, you say they were badass because at times this was really dangerous, and you know that because you basically had a go at it, didn't you?
I mean, I wasn't as badass as they were, but I felt that to write about both this period and this area, because Appalachia is a very particular area, I had to go and walk the steps that they'd stepped in and ride the horses. So I went and rode it, and it was the most extraordinary experience because those mountains are huge and you have to follow the creeks because there are no roads and trails, and I loved it.
And how much documentary evidence is there about what they did and their stories?
It's not a huge amount. There are, I think, up until recently, there were a couple of living examples of them, but there is a lot of academic information about the programme, and the more I went out there, the more I just had to kind of build up around the facts that I had.
And one of the characters in your book is actually English, isn't she? And that's true as well?
No, she's not. I'm afraid what I wanted to do, because it's such a strange place and it's so particular, I felt that for English readers especially, or people who didn't know the area, it would be helpful if they saw it through the eyes of someone seeing it for the first time. So yes, Alice,
and she doesn't know exactly.
She knows nothing about it.
No, doesn't know how to deal with the snakes, etc.
Yeah, and you know, you do have to deal with snakes in a particular way. I did do a bit of snake poking myself with a stick, I hasten to add.
And actually, but you say you're not a badass, you're not as badass as them, but actually what they did, you're doing a version of that now because you're trying to help adult literacy in this country. Yes,
I fund a charity called Quick Reads, which is basically it's a scheme that gets best-selling authors to write shorter, easier-to-read versions of books for people who struggle with literacy. So it's for people who might be in prison or in early stages of education, people for whom English might be a second language, but it's to show them that books are not, you know, terrifying and inaccessible or rarefied, that they're entertainment, they're educative, and also for people who just are bored of scrolling through their phones on their daily commute and might find that they feel better if they've read a story.
And do you think, I mean, books are important to you still? I mean, what do you read? Do you a prolific reader?
Do you know what? Last year I wasn't. And that really hit me, that me, of all people, should not be reading enough. And what I found is that when I just gave myself over for a day to a book, it was by Lisa Jewell, actually, and I felt like I had a holiday from my head, and it just reminded me how important it is just to lose yourself in a book, because I think it takes your brain somewhere quite different to any other form of entertainment. And
we're going to move from books to movies. Is this one going to be made into a movie?
Yes, it is. It's with Universal, and we've got a really good director, Old Parker, who did Marigold Hotel and
Mamma Mia.
Yeah. So hopefully, you know, that's.
And when you're writing it, are you imagining that?
I pictured it from the start. I mean, yeah, from those pictures, it just felt to me like it was cinematic.
Can you say who your dream cast would be?
No, that's the director's job. I can't say that. Yeah.
You surely have got a little bit. You plant an idea in his head.
I can't say anything because obviously, if it then goes to somebody else, it looks terrible.
And what do you feel when you see your books? You watch it in the cinema. Are you one of the people who can sort of say, let it go?
No, I've always been involved.
But when you watch it on the cinema, are you pleased?
Yeah, a different beast. I think if you hand your work over, you have to be prepared that it's somebody else's vision from that point, and hopefully it tallies with your vision a bit. Yeah.
And you generally, even if it's different, you generally look at it and think that works.
I haven't had the experience otherwise, so yeah, I've been lucky so far.
Oh, JoJo, it's so lovely to see you. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us here on BBC Breakfast, as always. And the book, JoJo's book, is called The Giver of Stars.
That is it from us on Breakfast for today.
Yep, tomorrow morning we'll be back from 6. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.